Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mrs. Gallagher, and today's lesson discusses solids. So solids are objects that do not lie flat in a plane. They have a length, a width, and a height. So solids have a length, width, and height. Solids are also known as 3D figures. So solids are also known as 3D figures or three-dimensional figures. So below are 6 solids that we will be discussing throughout this chapter. So our first common solid is called a rectangular prism. So our first solid is called a rectangular prism. Please notice in the rectangular prism, our faces consist of rectangles. That's why it's called a rectangular prism. Let's look at our next solid in the center. This is called a triangular prism. So our second solid is a triangular prism. In the triangular prism, notice that our faces are triangles. The faces are triangles. Our third solid is called a cylinder. And a cylinder consists of a figure that has a circle both on the top and the bottom of the solid. Let's look below. Our fourth solid is a square pyramid. It's a square pyramid. This is called a square pyramid because the base is a square, and a pyramid because it comes to a point on the top. The next figure, our next 3D figure, is called a sphere. A sphere is a round solid figure. And our last three-dimensional shape is called a cone. A cone has a circle as a bottom, and it comes to a point on the top, and that is a cone. So now let's discuss what these common solids are made up of. So now let's discuss some parts of a solid. Solids are made up of 4 different parts. The first is a face. And a face is a flat surface, also known as a plane. So a flat surface. So let's look above here at our square pyramid. A face on the square pyramid would be right here. That is your face. That is our face. So in the square pyramid, there's actually 5 faces. We have the bottom, the front, the left back, and the right back. Our next part of a solid is called an edge. So an edge is where 2 planes intersect at a same line. A plane, also known as a face. So let's refer back to our square pyramid. And your edge would be right here. That is our edge. So the edge is where the 2 faces meet. So this face and this face meet at that edge. The next piece of solid is made up of is a vertex. A vertex is where 3 or more planes intersect at a point, also known as the endpoints. So let's again refer back to our square pyramid. And a vertex, also known as an endpoint, is right here. That is a vertex. That is also a vertex. It is where 3 or more planes intersect. So a vertex is an endpoint where 3 or more planes intersect. Our last term is called a base or bases. And the bases are the top and bottom surfaces. So again, let's refer back to our square pyramid. And we only have a bottom surface. So actually in the square pyramid, there is only one base. And just the bottom in the square pyramid. and that's your base. So now after we discuss these terms, let's now look at the differences between prisms and pyramids. So sometimes we have difficulty differentiating a prism and a pyramid. So let's discuss prisms first. A prism is a solid with two parallel bases that are congruent, polygons. The lateral faces are parallelograms. So the lateral faces are parallelograms. And a prism is named for the shape of its bases. So a prism is named for the shape of its bases. So let's look at this rectangular prism to the left. If you notice, there are two parallel bases. So our bases are the top and the bottom surfaces, and they are parallel. Next it says the lateral faces are parallelograms. So if you notice here are lateral faces, and they are all parallelograms. Opposite sides are equal and congruent. Lastly, it says the prism is named for the shape of its base. Well, what's our base here? It's a rectangle. Therefore, it's called a rectangular prism. It's a rectangular prism. Now let's look at the next prism. And we have two parallel bases. The top and bottom surfaces. So these are top base and our bottom base. They are parallel. And they are congruent. The lateral faces are parallelograms. Again, parallelograms or opposite sides are equal and congruent. So all of the lateral faces are parallelograms. And then lastly, the prism is named for the shape of its base. So now let's identify what the shape of the base is. It is a pentagon. It's a five-sided shape. Therefore, it is called a pentagonal prism. So that is a pentagonal prism. So now we just discussed prisms. Let's see how that's different than a pyramid. A pyramid is a solid with exactly one base, which is a polygon. So pyramids have one base. The lateral bases are triangles. So the lateral bases are triangles. And a pyramid is named for the shape of its base. So a pyramid is named for the shape of its base. So now let's look at the pyramid to the left. And if you notice here, we have exactly one base, which is a polygon. The lateral bases are triangles. So on each side of the solid, we have triangles. You see all the triangles. With a prism, they are parallelograms. Those are the differences. And then the pyramid is named for the shape of its base. Well, our base here is a square. Therefore, it's called a square pyramid. The square pyramid. Now let's look at the second figure to the right. Notice again we have exactly one base. There's your base. And the lateral bases are all triangles. They're all triangles. So the pyramid is named for the shape of its base. This is a six-sided figure, which is a hexagon, so it's called a hexagonal pyramid. So that is a hexagonal pyramid. Another key characteristics about pyramids is pyramids come to a point on the top of the solid. So it comes to a point. Okay, so pyramids, they always come to a point. So now what I would like you to do is the U trisection. I would like you to first identify the solid below, and then in each solid, please tell me how many edges, bases, and vertices that the solid has. So please complete 1 and 2, and we will discuss it in class. Thank you.